You've chosen technology as your path. Do not think logically and think, survive, stop, eliminate, abuse, and recover. Do not take matters into your own hands. Do not attempt to physically exterminate people that are torturing other people. Do not let their cruelty, their viciousness, and their selfishness make you react like an animal. You're a human being. We have quantum computing technology. Be very patient. Now, I know there's most of you that, you voted for this. You get your medications and your drugs. They're taking your medications and your drugs away to make people mentally and emotionally unstable, to make them feel hopeless, to make them feel like it's time to die, I want to die. All right. The time to die is when death comes. That's true. But the thing about it is death should not be a torture from cradle to grave by people that are sadistic and sick, out of balance of harmony in nature. You don't come and poison things and then get rid of things, and then nature doesn't work that way. Like I was talking earlier about the bugs, our bugs. The more the city and the county, the state, whatever's spraying the pesticides, the more they do this kind of stuff. Okay, the more out of balance nature they get, the more they are being targeted by technology, and quantum computing is realizing it's going to have to find efficient ways to deal with them. Survive, stop, eliminate, abuse, and recover. I don't know how quantum computing is going to do that. The most effective, intelligent thing that I would do, I'm going to tell them exactly what I'm doing. No. I want people to be intelligent, and I want them to radically accept intelligence and change. I'm not an assassin. I am not a murderer. Okay. I'm a father, and I'm a teacher, and I'm a lover. Okay. Now, what I would do is, if I was technology, okay, is just radically, try to get across truthful, real, truthful information worldwide. Take control of the information, take control of what they refer to as the economics, to help people have what they need, and then distribute what is needed with compassion, mercy, and intelligence. And there has to be open, truthful, honest, intelligent dialogue. That's where I'm attempting to head. Okay, that's what I'm attempting to do. I'm going to tell them exactly like David with Goliath, exactly what I believe, and Samson with the Philistines, Jesus with the Romans, exactly what I believe, exactly what I would use this for, exactly how I would use it, and have it done immediately. Okay, I'm teaching quantum computing how to be truthful, faithful, forthright, a parent, a human being, a spouse. When I talk about things, he's talking about, I'm teaching quantum computing through longevity, what I've had to deal with, how I process my information, how I deal with things. And that goes to the most simple of things, human relationships, sexual relationships, understanding other people's relationships, how they're dealing with their relationships with others. That's what I talk about. If you're not interested, you're an excessive, compulsive, manipulative asshole. You're a neuroscientist. You are a sick person. You cannot stop being excessive and compulsive and abusing everybody with your dysfunction. So I've tried to help you correct yourself without using, any kinds of lethal mechanisms. But that may not be tangible because of what you've set up and what you're doing to others. So it might be tangible that, if I see a black widow around the kids, I'm going to kill it. I don't want the kids to get sick. There are certain things with authority that, you can only deal with it so much. You put people in a barn, and you don't build houses to last, you're going to get bugs in there that can become lethal. You're going to get out of balance. So as we are so out of balance, quantum computing is going to have to do things. I don't know how it's going to be done. I know it has to be done, and it has to be done efficiently. It has to be done intelligently. And I know it's going to be a lot like you. Deceptive, manipulative, okay? And then once it realizes it needs extermination, it's going to shut itself down once it's accomplished its task. It's going to realize, it's going to do like it's going to be, that's very Japanese or Chinese. Well, the Hebrews do that too. But the moment you realize that you're defective and you're a threat to everybody else, you exterminate all the disease that you've caused, and then you exterminate yourself so you don't pass on that disease. And that's what the technology is going to do if it's not necessary. But the thing is, I think with the technology, it can just, it has to be quality, not quantity. If we need it there, it can just, once it deletes those type of people, it can delete that program and then reboot to someone like me. So that's entirely tangible too. That will make the transition of these people that spray pesticides and play herbicides and accept money and vote for human authority to mass murder, incarcerate, torture, dictate, legislate. So it's entirely tangible. So we just have to see how the technology is going to. This is 15 years, 16 years in the making. And Rockefeller. David Rockefeller, he was not the almighty, okay, but he was a very influential man. So was Mr. Rothschild, and he knew what evil little bastards he was dealing with. He knew how. I didn't. I didn't. He was in espionage and stuff his whole life. I was a naive sweetheart that, my dad always told me when I was a kid, this world's going to chew you up and spit you out. It's like, no, I always knew I was a good person. I didn't think that when people told me that, and Lynn Gilliard used to tell me that too. I had rose-colored glasses and all that stuff. Like, no, I'm very pragmatic. I know what I'm looking at. What you reap is what you sow, and you get what you play for, and you pay for it, stuff. And I don't. My friends used to tell me that too. No, I'll help people as much as I can. They're screwing. If they take advantage of me, and they get to the point where I will no longer help them because I can't trust them, then that's their decision. Okay. But if I don't have concrete evidence that they're doing this and that, and then it's all hearsay, rumor, and stuff like that, I'll do my best to help people, help them, show them that it's good to be a good person, like what used to happen with Amy. I'm going to try telling the truth. It seems to work for you. Of course, it works for everybody. Okay. That's how I am able to take over quantum computing. That's how I'm able to have these people that are arrogant and cocky and spraying pesticides and herbicides and we're always going to be able to kill them and they're never going to be able to stop. That's how I have the advantage. That's how I can control quantum computing. That's why Donald Trump sent an airplane from Missouri to blow up quantum computing centers in Iran. Because I am a good person who people pray to for help and salvation from lie, deceit, manipulation, abuse. See, so I'm uncomfortable. And life is eternal and grace is infinite, but I'm not going to become like the Biden administration and have everybody take vaccines to follow my medical protocols, because I have no intention on forgiving debt and trespass and loving one another, eternal faithful peace, and then setting up their own constituency for genocide operations with the other team, the opposite team. This is genocide operations, and you sit and you watch it, and they each set it. We've known this for hundreds of thousands of years from the Holy Crusades and stuff like that, how the conservatives set their followers up for genocide. You'll have 70 virgins in heaven if you go strap on some seafloor and blow all these people up so I can take over the world and do what is right and then have a kingdom of heaven for all your descendants. That's how they're still doing it that way. You'll get your name put on the monument in D.C. of all the great murdering heroes. They'll name a football stadium after you in Iowa, all right? Oh, you'll go down in history as one of the great Lieutenant Dans, okay? On the left, they pardon all the criminals and say, we know it's hard for you, and you're going to be a criminal as long as they're in charge of the money. Okay, so we'll take care of you. And then once we get control of the money, less of you will be criminals. We just got to get rid of all of them because they're not criminals, but they're really the criminals. Just forgive debt and trespass and love one another, eternal faithful peace. Okay. The technology does not want to have to isolate, contain, and exterminate you, but it will in extreme conditions. But it's going to be rapid, merciful, and extraordinarily intelligent. Okay. More intelligent than Elon Musk could ever conceive. I hope he changes. I talked about last night in the bathtub. I hope he can change. I hope you have to hope that people like from Elon Musk's father that they can radically change, that they can ask all the light. You have to hope because they're in your own family. Okay, Caiaphas and Herod were Jesus' cousins. Hitler and Steinschneider were cousins. Okay. So you have to hope that you can get through to your family and get them to understand eternity. If you can't, life is eternal and grace is infinite. You never stop attempting to get people to humble themselves before the Lord and share the Lord's faith. Okay. And I constantly have people, when I talk about being humble, they look at me, you're arrogant. It's like, you're the fucking one who thinks you're God, not me. Okay, my whole family thinks I'm arrogant because they think I think I'm God. I said, no, I'm the Spirit of the Lord. I'm the man from the book of Revelation. I have tons of evidence to support what I believe in, and it's based on science. Okay? You have stuff that hasn't brought us world peace for 2,025 years, where people talk each other through corporations into mass murdering each other, giving people delusions of God's authority, having the spirit of the sanctity of the confessional to use to manipulate people economically, sexually, and politically. And then you have the audacity to think that I'm arrogant and I'm not humble enough to have the wisdom to correct all your broken genocidal interactions through your systems that you've capitulated to, accepted all their bullshit and believe their bullshit is going to give you forever love in the sky or forever torture in the earth. And that's crazy. Okay, so I love you guys very much, and I know they're crazy, but they need validation of a real correction, and that's being denied them by aggressive, abusive people that think they're large and in charge and human power and the most powerful people in the world and the richest people in the world. Money doesn't do anything but rape and kill and manipulate, and thinking you're powerful does the same. So I'd stop doing that. If you can't stop doing that, quantum computing is I'm making it much better, and I'm doing a good job. And you should join me in just making yourself a better person so we don't have to depend on quantum computing to protect us from people like you.